What's up guys, it's Everett here, hope you're doing well. So in this video we're going to cover my current favorite hip mobility drill. Now again, this is my current favorite hip mobility drill. That changes depending on what I'm doing with lifting, and you might not need this one, or this one could make a huge difference for you, but because we tend to sit and text too much, we're all kind of going through a lot of the same things. So let's go through the drill. Now if you watched any of my other videos, you'll know mobility really comes from training movement within expanding your range of motion. All right, so what you need to focus on is really up to you, but this is something I actually just recently added into my hip mobility course on my website. I add videos to that here and there, and I got a lot of good response from it, so I figured I'd throw it on the YouTube for you guys. So we're gonna set up into the 90-90 stretch. So the 90-90 is a stretch I covered, and I think it was my very first video on this channel, so I'll put a card up here if you haven't seen that video. But we have a 90-degree bend behind each knee, and I'm gonna grab my yoga block, obviously 90-degree corner, so I can just kind of do a little test, because some people aren't very aware of what their body's doing, and they are in really strange positions. So I got 90 degrees and 90 degrees. And as always, the technique we use to stretch or do mobility matters just as much as deadlifting or powerlifting or doing handstands. So I'm gonna try to arch my low back and almost like scoop my hips. So that way I'm sitting straight up and down, all right? But I still have these 90-degree bends. Now finally, what I'm gonna do is this hip's kind of tilted to the ground. I want hip extension in this instance. So I'm gonna squeeze my glute and get my hip open, and my quad will now be facing more forward opposed to rotating and being more up the ceiling, all right? So this is the setup and the position. Now, depending on who you are, this might be really hard to be in just to stretch. So if that's the case, stretch here more. But you can also grab a yoga block and kind of throw it on that underneath that front hip like so. And for some of you, you can also break down this leg a little bit out of 90 degrees, depending on what you're feeling on this front leg. Now, the last thing we're gonna focus on is how much you need to lean over to do this mobility movement. Some of you might have to actually be way down here on the elbow, all right? So what we're gonna do is, this is pretty simple. We're gonna freeze up the rest of the body and just focus on this back hip and really on internal and external rotation of the hip. So if your hips don't rotate, they're not really hips anymore. Your knees and your low back and other parts of your body are gonna have to take up the slack, all right? So I've got a video on why rotating and hip mobility is important for everything. Again, maybe I'll throw that up in another card right here. Goes into some of the concepts though, all right? So the hip, once again, is open. And what we're going to do, without moving, we're going to lift or abduct the knee and the foot right up in the air. So with as much control, I'm trying to go knee with the foot. I don't want to go knee and then foot. All right, so if there's a huge gap in timing from the knee to the foot, then just lean back more, all right? So knee to foot, straight up, and immediately you might feel a little bit of cramping right here, and that's fine. This is where you gotta take it kind of easy, because we're training end range rotation, and most of us don't rotate our hips that much, so go easy. So we're gonna lift knee and ankle, and then we're gonna rotate up and back. So this is external rotation. And then what I'm gonna do is curl my hamstring and bring my foot right underneath my knee and set it down nice and gently. So again, notice my torso's not moving, this front knee isn't coming off the ground, and again, I'm trying to keep a nice flat or neutral low back. And then returning, we're gonna go knee and ankle straight up, and I'm gonna then rotate internally, and this is where most people cramp up, and we're gonna get about parallel and then set it down. All right, so there's a little abduction there at the hip, and then external and internal rotation. So I would be consistent with this if you do it. It's a great way to warm up. And if you do some stretching or again, foam rolling, get a massage, great way to kind of teach yourself how to use that new range of motion that you might have gotten from stretching and things like that, which carries over into moving and lifting. So that's the movement. You could do 3 or 4 or 5 reps per side, kind of go back and forth, 90 seconds rest, or if it's the morning, just do a couple reps per side and call it there, all right? We're gonna go over a couple of compensations, which is a common topic on my channel. How are you cheating to do the things you're trying to do, right? So for stretching, are we actually stretching the area of the body we want to, or are we just trying to get too deep into the stretch and we're using already flexible parts of the body, all right? Same thing with lifting. squatting are using just your quads or also using your glutes, maybe you should focus on your glutes some more. So I can use this block right here. So I'm gonna lift my knee and my ankle right off the ground. That's a pretty easy compensation to look for. Like I said, they should be lifting at about the same time. And now what most people do here is they just think about sending the foot underneath and they end up closing up their hip into more flexion. So I wanna keep this hip open position and I don't wanna touch the block in front of me. I wanna think about rotating my knee back and opening up, like so, all right? And then again, curl the hamstring. So another possible compensation is say I've got the block right near my body. To do this next piece, what I would do is lean straight back, opposed to pinching in the hip and lifting straight up. So if I start to lean away from that block, I know I'm just leaning, I'm not actually using my hip muscles to lift, all right? And then once again, as we go backwards, I don't want to just think about dropping the knee forward. I still want to keep that 90-degree bend in the knee and the hip, so I'm gonna go straight up, and I'm gonna think more ankle up and back. Not knee down, ankle up and back. Go as low as you need to hit that nice parallel shin position, and then back down. All right, so to make it easy, don't lean back when you lift. If you have to start back, that's different. But when you pick a position, keep it. So don't lean back, knee and ankle off the ground as a unit. Think knee back as you go into external rotation. Curl the hamstring and the heel in. And then don't lean back, knee and ankle up as one using the hip. And now to return, think ankle up and back, not knee down. Hit parallel, keep that 90-degree bend in the knee and the hip open, and just like that, all right? So again, that's one of my favorite rotational hip drills. Again, this is training, so you need to start with a good position for you, even if it looks terrible. Start what's right for you. Be consistent, train it just like you would a squat for weeks and even months, and then progress it. Try to get higher and higher off the ground, or try to sit more and more up, maybe not even using any hands, just using all of your other muscles to control that movement. So, hope that helps somebody. It's a tough movement, doesn't feel good, but man, it really does warm up and improve your hips over time. So thanks for watching. So if you like that, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. It will help other people with hip stuff going on find this video, which will help them. And if you want the full hip mobility course, check out my website and grab it. It's $29, 2.5 hours of content. So thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video.